Welcome back to the CD Financial Podcast, CD Financial, where health meets wealth. My name is Marcus C. I'm your host. That man across from me, as always, is Chuck D. Chuck D, my man. How you doing?
I'm there. I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here. We're making it happen, folks, every day. And that guy on the other end, Marcus C., he's rocking and rolling too.
I'm with you,
And
brother.
he's just a decent human being, folks. Let me tell you that about him. He's just all right. He's all right. He's good people. Without a doubt, he's good people.
I'll take decent and good anytime I can get it, my brother. Thank you very much.
And they got some amazing brisket down by right around the corner from his house, too. I mean, some lip smacking good stuff. I sure could go for some of what do they call it? The moist brisket, I think they call it.
Yeah,
I like the one that has a little fat in it. Yeah.
you got to have the fat, my brother. That's how you.
Yes,
That's how
you
you keep it
do.
up. Well,
Yes.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
What were you going to say?
I was gonna. I was just gonna say. You know, good brisket is good for the soul. I'm gonna throw that. It's not soul food per se, but it's good for the soul, man.
Man, it's
It's
delicious.
healing.
Yes, it's a healing. Thank you to the cows out there that keep eating the grass for us. Yes. Um, Listen, and we're going to talk about, well, you tell us, Marcus, what are we going to talk about today?
Yeah. So you know what? You use the word good and decent, and we deal with a lot of federal employees, and they are good and decent people. And I think right now a lot of them are feeling the pinch. And there's
Yeah.
there's definitely a lot of anxiety, a lot of angst about what's going to happen next. And we've dealt with a lot of those topics individually, but we thought today would be a good time to address how we deal mentally with all this stuff. What do you think about that?
Yes, I like that because you are correct. We deal with a lot of good souls.
Yeah.
And whether you've taken a retirement or a deferred resignation or you have various dates where you're ended and you're on administrative leave or you're not, you you could use a shot in the arm, so to speak, and some reminders for good mental health because
Absolutely.
these are life changing decisions that you've made or that have been made for you.
Yeah.
And so, because of that, we want to make sure that you're in the right frame of mind, or at least be a helping hand to keep you in the right frame of mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Let us be the brisket to your soul, like we just said. Help you out a little bit. Um,
All right, so
you-
I'm going to pivot from that to something way more heavy and serious. Okay.
please. No,
Hey,
'cause I do want to mention. Just before you get into what you're going to
yeah,
start
go
talking
ahead.
about. I did want to mention this because we are going to be talking about mental health and dealing with anxiety. When you come to CD Financial, and the family is growing, right? Every day, Chuck, we're adding to the CD Financial family. When you are anxious, when you feel anxiety, we feel it too. So just know to start, I just want to throw that out there. We're here together, man. We're
Yeah.
here together, and we talk about scheduling, talks, right, for advice, financial advice. Sometimes maybe we just need to talk to each other, right? Take some time and just chat because that feels good. Just reaching out. But I know you got a good starting point. I really love where you're starting today's conversation, so I'm going to let you have it. I'm going to just let you talk about something.
And just to be fair, food brings us comfort, Marcus
Yeah.
and I. So I bet you it brings a lot of you comfort too, right?
Yep.
One of the first things we discover when we discover a new culture is their food and their language. But the food speaks much stronger and deeper and faster than the language does.
Yep.
It touches our emotions. So let's just see this as comfort food this episode today. How's that sound?
Love it. Love it. Let's
Yeah.
serve it up, man.
Yeah. Okay. So, all these decisions, like I said, that are getting, that you've taken on because you felt like if you didn't, somebody was going to make a decision for you, and others that have just had decisions made for them.
Mm-hmm.
There was a wise man from 2,000 years ago who said this in the book of Matthew, chapter 6, the last verse, 34. He says, oh, this was Jesus Christ said this. So never be anxious about the next day, for the next day will have its own anxieties. Each day has enough of its own troubles. So, folks, what he was saying was don't be anxious about tomorrow. Just deal with what you got right now.
Yep.
Just deal with today. So, today, you can deal with what you've been given. And there might be a lot of blessings in your life right now. And that really helps just to be thankful. Now, in fact, we did recently we posted a podcast that we might be in a recession or approaching one. And if
Right.
that's the case, go ahead and click the link right here to that video because we do also talk about keeping it cool and the things you can do, and even your mental health in there and what you can control and what you can't control. And
Yep.
so I think it behooves us to talk about that
Yeah.
now as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and to be clear, because we talk about planning all the time, we're not talking about planning, right? Because planning you should plan for tomorrow, and as far out as you can. We're talking about like what the scripture that Chuck just started with. We're talking about being anxious about what's happening and dealing with that anxiety, because man, anxiety starts in your head, but it'll roll out through your entire body. It'll affect your sleep. We've had people, not just lose sleep, lose hair, literally. Sometimes put on weight, just have a general malaise, deal with depression, all that from anxiety, and that's what we're
Turn
trying to
gray,
avoid.
right?
Yeah.
We've had, yeah, hair turns gray during, worries. It really does.
Yep.
Um, yeah. And so look, there is another scripture that says, "What man before building a tower doesn't consider the cost?"
Yeah.
So you definitely should reach out and create a plan for whatever comes, whether you've made the choice to leave or you're sticking it out. We're here, and you should know that. You
Yep.
should try to make a plan. That's why every 401k and TSP for sure allows you that age-based rollover at 59 and a half where you can start to lay down that foundation of your retirement plan. And you start with the bottom of the house, the most secure, unmovable piece, the concrete, that you lay down or into rock. So, that being said, it can really help you if you come up with a plan or know, hey, this is my plan B, right? If I don't continue to work till 62 or beyond, then this is my plan B, and I've already done something. Charles has helped me work that out, him and his entire team. So, yeah. But that being said, once you get that and you understand it, coming in, just being in the moment and present in the day you're in, that's really helpful. Just to recognize, look, I've got a measure of good health. My
Yep.
loved ones may have good health. We've got more than enough to eat. We've got a nice place to sleep. What was it that my first partner used to say, Marcus, in
Three
this
slops
business?
and a flop, baby.
Three slops and a flop, Robert
Yeah.
used to say. So, yeah, and his dad was in the military and special forces. So,
Yeah.
he had ops but he would say that all the time. Look, if you got three meals three slops, a
Yeah.
lot of people don't have that. And, lately I haven't even been eating three meals consistently. Breakfast comes and goes a little bit. So, if you got that and you got a dry roof over your head, wow, you're way ahead of a lot of people in this world right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think taking some time to appreciate that daily is very important, because we can start to take these things for granted. I'll share with you a story real quick. Something that happened a few years back. I don't know how many people tuning in remember Hurricane Sandy, right? But Hurricane Sandy devastated New York, devastated the East Coast, and it was crazy, the effects of that, because the news cycle was reporting on that for about a month, maybe a month and a half. We were over there because my father-in-law was in a bad accident, so my wife and I moved over temporarily for a few months to help him out. And one thing we noticed, so that happened at the end of October, the hurricane hit. I came back to Texas before my wife. I came back around February. In February, you could walk outside of where my in-laws lived, and you could look across at the buildings across, and they would have these 55-gallon drums on the terraces, right on the balconies, and they had fires going on. They had fires to keep warm, and we're talking New York City,
Wow.
3.5, 4 months after a disaster, and you got
Wow.
people lighting fires in barrels to keep warm. One of the
Three and
richest
four
cities in
months?
the world doing that. Yeah.
Wow. What happened to the infrastructure? They just couldn't get it up.
Couldn't get the electricity back on fast enough. And people, and again, this was not highly reported on. This was something, if you weren't there, boots on the ground, you didn't see this. People went months without heat, and during the dead of winter, right, without heat, without electricity, and literally went back to lighting fires and cooking over fires, or camp stoves or whatever. So when we start this conversation today, just talking about being grateful what you have, a roof over your head, food on your plate, a place to sleep, it can be taken away even if you live in a place like New York City. Just like that, one day to the next, you are without power, and you could be months like that. We had that here in Texas a few years ago, right, with that big freeze.
Oh,
Same
remember
thing
that?
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
So
you were so grateful you had those little solar things that were about the same size as your phone. You
yeah,
set them out in the sun and plug them in, and it powered your cell phone up.
yeah, yeah. And we took the time every day. It's funny. We ended up moving my folks, because I have aging parents. So we moved them in with a family that had some gas heaters and things available to us, and we stayed with them for a few days just to kind of get through the first part of it. But every single day, we made it a point to consider something positive between the families. And it's amazing how quickly being homeless became kind of this just big sleepover. We're all hanging out together. Yes, we're cold. Yes, we're trying to keep, warm with the campfires, but then we're just sharing meals together, sharing good conversation, laughing. We played charades, no TV, right? So we're playing charades, we're playing cards. So it was taking a really bad situation and making the best of it. And I think that's kind of the spirit of this discussion today, right? We're not that bad off yet, and hopefully never will be. But when things change, rather than get anxious, take some time every single day and just say, hey, I got a lot going for me still.
Yeah, just deal with the blessings that you have today,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because you don't know, as Christ said, you don't know what tomorrow brings, but today will have its own things to deal with, its own
Yeah.
anxieties.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like Marcus, where I had recently came really close
Yeah.
to drowning down in Punta Mita in a really nasty riptide, and
Yeah.
I thought I was I wasn't sure. It sure felt like I was really close to losing my life, and in those moments where I was saying my prayer out loud and silently. And I think it gave me some clarity, and I'm sure of it, and peace of mind, and somebody that radioed eventually from the infinity pool on the cliff to the waiting
Hmm.
staff, radioed to the lifeguard shack, and then find the kid run down, 100 yards south to then jump after he run 100 yards south to then jump in the water. And it's a long process.
Yeah.
You have to yeah, you have to recognize, hey, things could be a lot worse.
Yeah.
And we've got to hold on to what we have. And we can bring our sunshine with us. Because look, if we come into work and it seems like a grind, and we don't have that positive energy, well, you know how it is when people don't,
Yeah.
and they're feeling really downhearted and really bad, it pushes you away. So in this case, we want to bring, we want you to attract folks to you, right?
Yeah.
And in that
Absolutely.
positive frame of mind, you can get a lot more done. And as Marcus said, or did you say about sleep getting interrupted sometimes
Yeah.
when you're anxious? Yeah, I mean, that your quality of life. Why? Why let it slide away just because of decisions that were made way, way out of your hands?
Yeah.
Don't let it take your joy away or rob you of joy.
Yeah.
Don't
And,
let it do it. As I say these things out loud, Marcus, it makes me feel better with
yeah.
the trials that we have to address. It's just that. It's just a trial, but it doesn't change who we are. Don't let it. You keep your head held high, and things are gonna be bright. and you'd have no idea what doors could open to you. I would
Yeah.
say this, if you see a door open, you might want to walk through it. So, yeah, consider that at least. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think one of the things we got to remember too, for the sake of our mental health, is as humans, our tendency is to imagine the worst, right? So we hear these things, we hear the word recession, and we imagine the worst. Maybe that we take it out and we say, okay, I'm going to lose all my investments, all my retirement. I'll be homeless. 99% of the things we worry about and become anxious over never come to fruition, and really we end up worrying and being anxious over nothing, things that just aren't going to happen.
for
So,
what?
taking a little
Yeah.
bit of perspective to it, I think helps immensely.
I know that I get I never realized it before, but I get anxious.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I do now. I realize that it's okay. And but you saying that really helps me out, right? It's like, those things don't even come to pass. Just
yeah,
keep showing up and being grateful, and it'll really help your frame of mind. You'll be more kind and patient, and others will start to look better to you, and they'll be more kind and patient towards you, and
yeah,
everything's gonna work out okay. It'll
yeah.
all be hunky dory. That's the old expression I used to hear. Yeah,
That's our goal, right? We want it to be hunky dory, and even if it's not hunky dory, it might be better than hunky dory. It might be slightly
yeah,
worse, but it might be better. So, uh,
yeah. That's right. Yeah. Um, I wasn't. Do you have anything more to say about this subject?
about yeah, well, just let me add one more thing, because you talked about being grateful uh, a little bit, right? Being grateful for what we have, and my wife shared a video with me not too long ago about it was a father. He was talking about his children. He says, I want to make it clear to my kids, I didn't sacrifice anything for my children. He said, I did everything I did for them out of love. And he said that was a privilege to do that. And I think about that. It really hit home with me because I care for my aging parents. And, it's easy to get overly anxious about what's going to happen tomorrow when you deal with that, right? But just taking the time to remember it's a privilege. I'm not sacrificing to take care of them. It's a privilege to take care of them. And that's the way I got to, deal with it, and kind of frame it in my mind so that I don't get anxious, so I don't get depressed, so I don't get worried over much. It's just like I got to enjoy the moment. I got to enjoy the privilege while I have it, because things could change tomorrow and there's no point in worrying about what's going to change. I should just enjoy every single moment I still have, right? And work with that. But I just thought that was a beautiful message, and I want to make sure I included that today with what we're talking about.
Thanks for mentioning that. I was just telling a story about how I when we would separate the boys from sleeping in our bed when they were little toddlers,
Mm,
and it was an emotionally charged time.
yeah,
And I remember my wife saying, I can't visit the kids in their crib and tell them it's going to be all right because it's too much for me. Because she would have them sleeping with us for the first few months, and then we would separate them. And
yeah,
I said, it's okay. I'm going to do this. I'm gonna be cool the whole time. Even when them little boys were strong and they would get up and they'd bring themselves up to the rail of their crib and they would holler at 3.5, 4 months old, 4.5 months. And I would just say, it's okay. Everything's gonna be all right. Everything's going to work out. Don't you worry about a thing. It was this method where you would come in at 3 minutes and then 5 minutes and then like 8 minutes. And then the next visit would be like 11 minutes and then 15 minutes. Usually you would never get to the 15 minutes. But my firstborn, he was tough. He was determined. And yeah, he took about 7 days. And then finally he just said, forget this. I'm going to sleep. Well, yeah. Jude, the second born, he didn't. He only took about 4.5 nights at most. So that it was only like a half night on the fifth night. It was just like, nah, forget it,
I'm
right?
done.
Maybe he woke up once and was like, wow, I want to come back in, and then it was just done, right? Because I
Yeah,
mean, they're not talking, of course, but that's the message. Hey, what are you doing, right? So it worked out, and it
yep,
was a privilege to have that. That's something I could bring to the table, right? Because I can't breastfeed my kids, right? But I could
yeah,
I could bring I could bring that to the table because my wife was getting up a lot, those
yeah.
first few months with your babies, right? It's pretty exhausting, but yeah, yeah. whatever we can do, you don't see that as anything but something that you want to give. Yeah.
Yeah.
It,
And you know what?
everything's going to work out.
That
Everything's going to work out, folks. Everything's going to work out.
that's a great message what you just communicated there, because oftentimes when we deal with anxiety, it's again we're looking ahead and worrying about things that may or may not happen. But take some time to reflect on the good things that have happened. I think that's a beautiful matter. I've known your kids, since they were born, and you have three beautiful children, and I reflect on that. Yeah, I don't have as many memories with them as you do, but a lot of those things that we did together, and the time we spent together means a lot, and it still comes to mind. There's still times when I reflect on, you know, when I would visit, and Isaac would jump on my back and he'd ride me around like a horse around the living room. I don't know if you remember that, but he used to love, hanging on me like that. And Jude the same way. Jude climbed right up in my lap. And if I wasn't paying enough attention to him, he'd grab my face and make me look at him. And there's still times when I think about that stuff. If I get down, I go back and visit some of those memories, because it does bring me a lot of joy. It brings me a lot of happiness to think that I had a small part in that. At least I get to be, if not completely just an observer. I mean, I got a small part to deal with that, and that was great. And those are great memories that keep us going. So one of the things we can do to combat anxiety, look back look back on some of the good times that we've had and enjoy those. Just enjoy the blessings that we had, coming up through these things, right? And being with family and that family time. A lot of that alleviates anxiety because it makes us grateful for the things that we have today.
Yes. Yeah. It makes us grateful. Yeah. 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 As much as you can, look at the good, right?
Yep.
Don't
Yep.
don't don't stay resentful either, folks, because all you're doing is giving free rent in your head to somebody else who doesn't even realize that
Yeah.
you're thinking on them, and they've set up shop in your mind, and you're giving them free lease up there. So let it go. And that was great advice what Marcus just said. Just yeah, look at the good things that you've had in the past and the things right now that are working out well for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be all right. That's the health tip. It's all one big episode. You
One big
guys
help.
needed it. I felt like you did. I was
Yeah.
pondering this and I said, you know what? Somebody needs to come in and just say, everything's going to be all right.
It's gonna be fine.
Don't
It's gonna be fine.
worry.
Yeah.
Everything's going to work out.
Yeah.
It
And
always does. You will not be left destitute, and there are people here that care, and you've got plenty around you. So
yeah,
just take stock in the blessings and keep keep moving forward and striving for the best version of you every day,
I love
because
that.
the good Lord has given you something, and you can shine,
Yeah.
and every one of us can shine in our own way. Keep
Yeah.
on, keep on bright and shining.
Keep on keeping on, man. I love it. And
Yeah.
we would love to have the opportunity to talk to every single one of you individually, right? Every single day. It's impossible, logistically impossible. But we wanted to reach out. This is our way of reaching out to you and just letting you know, hey, we're here for you. We're here for you on so many levels. I started out mentioning, when you work with CD Financial, you become part of a family, and that's how we feel towards all of you. So when you tune in and listen to us, we feel like we're talking to family. And today we wanted to just take a moment and talk to family and just say what Chuck said. It's going to be okay. And meanwhile, rather than getting anxious, reflect on the good times. Be grateful for the things that we've had and that we have. And the time we have now, this life that we have, it's a privilege. Enjoy every day because it's a privilege to have it. So
And believe me, I love seeing the texts come in, and I
yeah,
start to text y'all at all kinds of crazy early hours on the West Coast. But I know you're up, and because I'll search the area code. I go, oh, I know what that area code is. Yeah, and so I'll be texting you answers and reaching out. We'll get you on a calendar and we'll talk, and it's really nice,
yeah,
right? To have a job that you get to come to, and you realize that you're affecting the lives of other people, and so
yes,
we're here to help you. Okay. Yeah, we're
absolutely,
here to help you. Again, you got the number. It's 359-5100. Area code 949-359-5100.
yeah.
Just text your name and email if you want to talk, and we're here for you. Okay.
Sounds great, man. Well, I think that's a good way to end this. Again, we just wanted to reach out to everybody. Think of this as a virtual hug from Chuck and I to all of you, right? have a plan for the future, but don't be anxious about things that we just don't have control over. And please accept our virtual hug today. We really appreciate all of you tuning in. We appreciate your time, and we appreciate you being part of our family. So thank you for all that, and thanks for being here at the CD Financial Podcast, where health meets wealth. Thanks a lot, Chuck. Appreciate your time, my brother.
You too, Marcus. Look forward to helping you all out. Take care now.
Be good.
CD Financial, where health meets wealth.